Hey guys, welcome to the Touchdown Table. I'm Ryan, that's Tyler, that's Jordan. And this video is another part of our deep dive series. In this video, we're going to talk about the Indianapolis Colts, a team that really is on the rise, a team that was a playoff team last year, lost in the first round to Buffalo, but played them very well. We're in it to the final minute. New quarterback with Carson Wentz, some new additions via the draft and free agency that we'll obviously talk about. And then once we round it all out, we'll talk about the offense, the defense, and then our expectations for them in 2021. Again, this should be an interesting video because the Colts are a team that a lot of people are really high on. A lot of people think they could win the division, but there's some people who think they could even go a lot further than that. And I don't know if I'm speaking for myself or for everyone, but I really think this team. I think for them the sky is the limit. I think they have the coaching and the talent to go really far. I think they're a Super Bowl contender. So with that being said, let's see what the whole table thinks and deep dive into the Indianapolis Colts.
Let's get going with that. And yeah, Ryan, I mean, you said it just a second ago that we think highly of this Colts team, and we're going to get into why that is. And you want to start with the draft, maybe do that. Just talk about what they did this offseason to improve for next year. We'll start off, then we'll go through their roster, talk about even more. Let's start with the draft. Jordan, you usually do the draft. Do you have that ready for us?
Yeah, it's right here.
All right, go ahead.
So excited.
Round 1, pick 21 overall. Colts are obviously picking. They select Ryan's favorite, Kwity Paye, edge rusher out of Michigan. Go Wolverines.
Don't get so excited.
Calm down on that side of the table.
Yeah, I mean, if I was a Colts fan, I would have been ecstatic hearing that pick because if you did not know, I really was high on Kwity Paye in the pre-draft process. He was, I think it was 5th overall on my big board. Not 5th edge rusher, not 5th defensive player, 5th overall on my board. So the Colts getting him at 21 is an absolute huge steal in my opinion. He's going to make an immediate impact on an already elite defense. I think it's just such a great situation for Kwity, but also for that Colts team. Edge rusher probably isn't even a huge need. Obviously, the more the merrier, but I think that defense was already pretty good, but I feel like it got to a point where the Colts, they see a talent like Paye, a guy who I think is a top 5 guy in this draft. They get him at 21. That's absolutely ridiculous. I don't know how he fell as far as he did. I think even people who weren't crazy high on him, like I was, top 5, I think it really got to a point where that was a consensus pick that was viewed as a steal. Maybe not to the extent I feel it's a steal, but you get my point. A day 1 starter. He has all the traits you look for in an NFL edge rusher. He does not take a snap off. He's physical. He's aggressive. He can win the one-on-one matchups. And you look at what really impressed me the most. You watch him against Alabama's O-line, against Wisconsin's O-line, against Ohio State's O-line, the best of the best. He is still making plays. And even if he's not winning the matchup, even if he doesn't get to the backfield, you could tell he gives the offensive lineman he's working against a hard time. So I could talk for 20 minutes about Kwity Paye, but that would be the whole video. So I'm going to stop. But bottom line is one of the biggest deals of round 1 and the entire draft, Kwity Paye to the Colts. Their fans should be excited for that, and I think they are.
You did a great job explaining it, as you always do, especially with Kwity Paye. So I'm not going to really add on to it because Kwity Paye, you are obsessed with him.
Yes.
So I don't need to take any of your love. I don't want to get in the way of your love.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, with Kwity Paye.
Yeah.
Round 2, pick number 54. The Colts select Sarah Fuller out of Vanderbilt.
Ran right school, but wrong.
Deo Odeyingbo.
Yes, out of Vanderbilt, just like Sarah Fuller was. But yes, this was not one that I was able to watch.
Edge rusher.
Yeah, edge rusher. So there's not really many guys that I know a lot about. I know about Sean Davis and Sam Ellinger and Will Fry, so we'll get to later on.
I mean, I just really quick before we move on, I do too, but just to add on, I think I remember hearing like when I was watching day 2 of the draft that I think he's coming off a torn Achilles. I thought it said he tore his Achilles in like January or something, or sometime earlier. If someone could fact check me on that, and that this might be a guy that they kind of use as a red shirt this year, just to kind of get him in the room, get him to develop again. It already going to be with a great defense, lots of playmakers to learn from, a good coaching staff. A defensive coordinator, Matt Eberflus, was getting head coaching interviews in the offseason, so really just a fantastic situation for any defensive end. So I think Kwity will be the day 1 immediate impact starter, but Deo, I think he might be a red shirt coming off the injury and just probably being a bit more raw in general. So yeah, I mean, going back-to-back edge rushers, not what a lot of people expected for the Colts, but hey, I mean, they're a team that is not far from being a Super Bowl contender, and honestly, we'll talk about this later, but after this offseason, they could be a Super Bowl contender at this point. But yeah, definitely I think we're gonna see more of a red shirt style with Deo.
All right, I'll just keep reading down here. They didn't have a third round pick. Kylan Granson on SMU. Don't think anyone knows about
Not
him.
familiar with him.
Sean Davis, safety out of Florida. That one I do know a bit about. I think they got good value out of him at pick number 165, so that's a good one. Sam Ellinger, obviously we all know from Texas.
Yeah.
So in case Carson Wentz doesn't go well, they got Sam Ellinger.
There you go.
I don't think we're going to see that case happen. I think
Yeah.
Carson will fit in nicely with the Colts. We'll get to that later on, though. Mike Strachan, wide receiver from Charleston, WV, West Virginia. I don't know. That's just what it says on here. And then round 7, Will Fries out of Penn State, who I watched, but not very specifically because I knew he would be a 7th-round pick or around there. So that's their draft. I mean, they didn't have many draft picks. They had, 1, 2, 3, 7. That's how you count, yes.
Yep.
7 draft picks out of the 7 rounds. Had 2 7th-round picks and no 3rd-round pick. So that's how that adds up. They did a pretty good job. Let's do the one-word description of their draft. Jordan, we'll start with you.
Pay dividends.
That's 2 words.
But I like it.
Pay dash dividends.
Steal.
The steal?
Yeah.
All right.
For Quiddy.
Let's see. I don't know where I'm going to go. Wild? I don't know. Because, I mean, I would say
They're
Wild
playing
because...
right now.
Yeah, the Wild are playing right now.
Not here.
But,
You probably
just doing defense
What?
first, and then
You
getting
probably
tight
didn't know
end and safety and quarterback and wide receiver and then lineman. They just went all around, so kind of a wild draft for them. We'll see how it pans out for them. Let's move to free agency now. We made a video for the Colts, offseason outlook video, talking about what they should do for free agency. I had a segment in that where I suggested possible players that could go out and get in free agency. I got a grand total of 0 of those correct. But we won't talk about that. I got ideas, right? But let's talk about what they did in free agency. Newcomers, Carson Wentz obviously being the big one. Isaac Rochelle, Sam Tevi, Julian Davenport, Malik Jefferson, Antoine Woods, Eric Fisher, and kicker Eddie Pinero, who will not be starting over Rodrigo Blankenship, I hope, even though I did like Eddie Pinero since he was on the Bears. But still. I'll keep reading. Unrestricted free agents. Guys, they signed back. I know they got T.Y. Hilton back, I believe. I believe. And then some restricted free agents. Zach Pascal, Tremont Smith. I don't know if this is before or what. But these just look like the newcomers. So, the newcomers what we're going to be focusing on right now. So, we'll talk about Carson Wentz later, so we won't mention him too much right now.
Yeah.
Some underrated ones. Eric Fisher is obviously a good
I was
one.
very upset when I saw that. And I'm a Texas fan, by the way. Carson Wentz is going to be able to, sit down and have a picnic back there.
Which
in the
is not
pocket.
something he's used to.
Exactly. Seriously.
Can I get invited?
I mean...
I'll bring grapes.
Grapes? Okay.
And I'll bring turkey for the sandwiches. I like turkey.
I mean, I don't think they play on Thanksgiving, but maybe.
No,
if they did.
not hardcore turkey.
Oh.
It's like cold
It's like
cuts turkey.
Cold, yeah.
Okay.
Like on Subway turkey.
But yeah, Eric Fisher. I just to chime in with that. When I saw that, it was a later signing. I don't know what took so long for him to be signed.
Yeah.
I was surprised he got released. He was one of those.
forgot about that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
honestly,
yeah.
he was one of those cap casualties. I feel like with the cap adjustments, the Chiefs released 2 starting tackles: Eric Fisher, who's now a Colt, and Mitchell Schwartz, who I believe is still looking for a job. Is he? I don't think he's somewhere. As far as I know, I mean, if we're wrong, correct us. But the point is, Eric Fisher. It's like the Colts' offensive line is spoiled, and when you have an offensive line that good, you don't need a guy like Patrick Mahomes or Aaron Rodgers back there. You just need a guy who can get the job done, and that's what Carson Wentz, who again we'll talk about more later, so I'm not going to get too much into that. But that offensive line really is going to set the tone for that run game. It probably, in my opinion, I really do think it's probably the best offensive line in football. I think Eric Fisher puts them over the top. Obviously, New Orleans is pretty good. Dallas does a solid O-line. Cleveland has to be up there for sure. Cleveland might be number 2 for me. But yeah, I think that with the Colts, they say a lot of times you got to build from the trenches out. I think with the Colts, I think some of their best offensive players are on the offensive line. And yeah, it might not be pretty, but I think that will pay dividends in the long run, especially when you have a quarterback like Carson Wentz, who virtually had no time to throw the ball in Philadelphia.
Yeah, so that's a good point, which we'll continue to hit on. But right now, I'm just going to read the offense for the Colts this year. According to their depth chart right now, things will most likely change by the time we reach the season. So wide receiver groups is just what I'm going to start with because it's listed down here first. G.Y. Hilton, Michael Pittman, Paris Campbell, Zach Pascal. Those are the top 4 guys, and we've seen some injuries with them. So hopefully they can stay healthy and get a better receiving core. Linemen, like you said, Ryan spoiled. The quarterback is going to be because of these linemen. Eric Fisher, Quentin Nelson, Ryan Kelly, Mark Lewinsky, and Braden Smith are the linemen. That's just an elite group right there. Jack Doyle and Mo Alley Cox are the tight ends right now. Carson Wentz, quarterback, running backs, Jonathan Taylor, Naeem Hines, Marlon Mack listed on here. So it's a pretty good offense. I think we could start with probably the weaker point of it being the wide receivers. I mean, they're young. T.Y. Hilton's not in that case, but I mean, they still got things to prove. They have that potential. We saw Pittman last year kind of start to show what he's able to do. Harris Campbell was able to do some things before he got hurt. So it's really what is with this wide receiver group. I'm surprised they didn't draft a wide receiver in the first or second round.
Yeah, I am too, but I think that there's guys that still have potential. I think that it is probably the weak point of this team, at least of their offense. But yeah, Pittman, again, has a lot of potential, did some nice things, but some injuries there. Same could be said with Paris Campbell, more of a speed threat they drafted a couple years ago. Injuries have kind of been an issue there as well. And then T.Y. Hilton, he is absolutely loved by that fan base. I think that, even though he's obviously, declining and not what he once was and in the back end of his career, most likely, I think that the Colts wanted him back. The Colts fans wanted him back. And I really do think that he wanted to be back in Indianapolis. So, again, he's not what he once was. He's not the number one guy that, he might have been 5 years ago, but he could still make plays. He's still a veteran guy that could help the young receivers around him, that could help Carson Wentz in his first year with the Colts system, although it's probably pretty similar to what he did with Frank Reich the first time. But anyway, you get the point. Just a nice veteran guy who, hey, still he can casually have a 150-yard game here and there. Like, I'm not trying to say, like, he can't do anything. He's just not what he once was. He can still contribute, but I do want to bring up this possibility. I mean, if I'm the Indianapolis Colts and I'm hearing all this stuff about the Julio Jones trade rumors, I am absolutely listening. And if he really is available like he says he is, I am absolutely trying to get him because I do believe that could be the one thing, a true elite number one receiver that could push this Colts team over the top. I mean, honestly, like, if the Colts trade for Julio Jones, like, I might make them my Super Bowl pick right there. I haven't decided my Super Bowl pick yet. There's teams I'm looking at, but if the Colts trade for Julio Jones, like, that might seal the deal for me. Because, I mean, it was just a thought I had, like, literally today before I even knew we were doing this video.
Well, the problem is, though, they're probably not going to have a first-round pick next year, and I don't think they're going to want to give away a lot of these guys on their team. And
that
the
is
Falcons
true.
aren't just going to hand away Julio Jones.
They're not, but
so they're going to have to give good parts of their team away, plus they don't have as much capital. So I don't think they'd be number one on the list. However, they could benefit from.
I think they should do just about everything they can because I get the draft capital point, but if you really do believe that you're one elite player away from being a Super Bowl team, I mean, isn't giving up a little draft capital worth it? Like,
it's not just draft capital. I think they'd have to give away some sort of a stud player along with it too.
Well, what do you think a trade would look like? I mean, let's have the conversation. I mean,
you could throw T.Y. Hilton in a trade if you wanted to as well.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm sure they would. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the Falcons would be looking for. Obviously, there'd probably be some of a bidding war. But again, if the Colts trade for Julio Jones, I mean, just imagine him on that team. Like, I feel like he completes the puzzle for the Colts. Like, we talk about how complete this team is.
It's the one piece that's missing, it feels like. I mean, you have to look at the rest of the offense. Maybe the tight ends have a bit of a problem, but everything else seems to be pretty close to being what it has to be for a Super Bowl winning team.
Yeah, if they get Julio Jones, I'm going to have a hard time not picking them to win the Super Bowl. But, I mean, they got to get Julio Jones first. But just a what if, I thought it was an interesting conversation. I think Julio would want to go there. He wants to go to a place where he can win. And I think the Colts really do think that they are very close to being a Super Bowl contender, if not already there. So, if I'm the Colts, I get the draft capital concerns. But, again, you're trying to win Super Bowls right now. You're not worried about, building for 5 years from now. You're in win-now mode.
All right, well, let's quickly roll through the rest of the offense. The line we talked about going to be very good. Tight ends as well could use a little bit of work, as we mentioned before. Carson Wentz, we think is going to be a good fit for them. We've talked about that in other videos, so if you want to go check that out, you can as well. But we'll stop here for a little bit to talk about it because it's pretty important.
Yeah, I think that Carson Wentz, again, he doesn't have to be Patrick Mahomes. He doesn't have to be Aaron Rodgers. He just has to get the job done. He just has to execute. He just has to do what he is asked to do. He doesn't have to be the playmaker. He doesn't have to, throw 5 touchdowns and 500 yards. He just has to use the talent around him and use his coaching and be the player that Frank Reich knows he can be. And it really isn't much more than that. Like I don't think Carson Wentz is going to be an MVP contender. I don't think we're going to see 2017 Carson Wentz, but I certainly don't think we're going to see 2020 Carson Wentz either. I think there is definitely going to be some improvement from last year for obvious reasons. Just from I think Carson Wentz is better than what he showed last year in general. I think the situation is better. I think the coaching is better, and obviously the supporting cast is better. So I think for guys like we hear this with Sam Darnold too, sometimes just a fresh start and a change of scenery is what guys need. I think that's the case for Wentz. He really just he's
And an actual good team.
yeah, I know. I really though. And honestly, I say this about a lot of Colts players, but as a Texans fan, it sucks that I have to root against a guy like Carson Wentz because he really is just a
He's likable.
awesome dude. He's a very likable dude. So I mean, I have to root against you, so I can't say I like you, but I respect Carson Wentz and what he does on and off the field. Lots of good stuff there. So yeah, I think Carson Wentz will improve, and I think with the team around him, he does not have to be Superman. He does not have to do it all. Just take what the defense gives you, play smart, take the deep shots when it's there. But at the end of the day, you don't have to be Patrick Mahomes. You just got to be who your coaches want you to be.
All right, and then running backs, somewhat young, Jonathan Taylor, Naeem Hines, and Marlon Mack. Should be in Jordan Wilkins as well to throw him in as well. So there's some bright future in that position. We'll move to the defense.
They're great.
Yes, Jordan really does like them. Defensively, Tyquan Lewis, DeForest Buckner, I'm just going to read through. Grover Stewart, Kwity Paye is the only starter they're slotted in right now that they drafted, which shows how good the roster already was. Bobby Okereke, Zaire Franklin, Darius Leonard, Rock Hassin, Julian Blackman, George Odom, Xavier Rhodes, Kenny Moore. Second, those are just the guys slotted as starters right now. So it's exciting. There's, some areas where you could go, maybe could get a little bit better, but there's not a specific spot on defense.
When you're thinking of NFL defenses right now and who's the best, you think of the Browns are an up-and-comer. The Rams just did a bunch of really good stuff last year. The Bucs, they had a great Super Bowl run. Their defense was certainly a big part of that. But I think the Colts defense is something that gets lost in that conversation. They should be thrown in there 100%. They're one of the best in the league. Helped me in fantasy last year a couple of times, thanks to Xavier Rhodes scoring a touchdown. Yeah,
he's had a nice resurgence there in Indianapolis. I mean, he was getting memed his last year with the Vikings, and I really do think he bounced back with the Colts. And hey, getting a second win in your career is something that is obviously always really nice, and I think that's what Carson Wentz is going to be able to do in Indianapolis to an extent as well.
Yeah, this defense is just well-rounded, to put it simply. So, in the interest of time, we think this defense is going to be very good. We'll move to special teams, then we'll do rough record predictions. So, special teams, I'll just read it out. Punter, Rigoberto Sanchez. Kickers, Rodrigo Blankenship. They signed Pinero as well. Long snapper, Luke Rhodes. I think we'll stop there. Actually, we'll do punt returner, kick returner. Naeem Hines, their punt returner right now. Isaiah Rodgers is their kick returner at this moment. So, that's it right there. And based on what we talk about, what they did in the draft, and that's not good.
Whoops.
I'm going to go fix that.
Whoops.
Sorry, everyone.
Record predictions. All right.
Just couldn't stay up
Here we
for
go.
2 more minutes.
We are saying in the mic so they can hear too, but we're not working with the tripod today.
We're not working with the tripod today. He told me to tell you because our buddy had to take it. So we're leaning the camera up against a weight. It's about maybe 3.5, 5 pounds. Ryan has trouble lifting it.
Okay.
Record prediction for the Colts for me. I'm high on them. I love this team. Don't be shocked if they're in my Super Bowl this year. Only time will tell. 14-3, the Colts will go.
I almost agree. I'm just going to say 13-4, but again, definitely a team, especially if they make a big move for a guy like Julio Jones, definitely a team that I'm considering for my Super Bowl pick, at least to be in the Super Bowl for sure.
I'll be back in a second.
Yeah. So how are we gonna let's fill here? I'll just let you talk because you're usually good at filling dead.
Well,
air
yeah.
time.
Right now I'm just kind of tired. If you guys couldn't tell throughout this video, I haven't talked very much. Kind of let Ryan do all the talking, and Tyler's been filling some stuff in. As you can tell right now, I'm just really enthused. And just like earlier when I was reading off the draft picks, I've never been more excited than I am right now. So I'm glad to be here.
I'm going to say 13-4 for me. I agree with Ryan. I think they're in that
That's
range of one of the better teams in the league next year. So watch out for the Colts. Thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to our channel, hit the notification bell, go comment down below what you think about this Colts team. We're sorry for the technical difficulties. Hopefully it wasn't slowly falling as the video went on. If it was, we apologize, but there's not much we can do about it now. So thank you for bearing with us. Thank you for watching this video. Make sure to go check out our podcast or Instagram as well. Once again, thank you all very much. And with that, we will see you guys later.
See ya.